Oh my God, I can't believe everything that we got in these 2 boxes. This is insane. Mrs. Primetime just sent me a message about 2 boxes of vintage magazines on Facebook Marketplace that were available for $40. I sent an offer out for $40 based on what I saw in the photos. She accepted it, and so I'm heading out now to pick it up. I'm looking forward to seeing what's inside. All right, now this is the only picture that she had in her ad. Now zoom in a little closer, and if you look at the top box, there's an issue in there that really got my attention. It says True Comics. This is a 1940s golden age comic book. So I had a really good feeling about what else would be inside of there. All right, I'm back. It was $40 for 2 boxes of vintage goodness. Now it turns out, in talking to her, this was stuff that she was clearing out on behalf of her grandmother and, get this, great-grandmother. So to her, it was just bulk stuff to get rid of, and to me, I just love digging through boxes of old magazines and old paper items. So I'm going to turn the camera around and I'm going to show you what was in these 2 boxes. All right, so as you can see here, we're dealing with 2 big Staples boxes, and they are mostly filled with these old magazines. Now, for those of you who don't like comic books, don't worry. There's only 1 comic book here. It's this True Comics one. But, you know, when I saw this in the ad, I was just so interested because that was a nice clue that there was just a lot of other stuff from this time range. So what time range are we talking about here? 1944. And this is just a great comic book. You could see here, it's still nice and bright and colorful inside. You know, there's a little bit of fading, but that's just because of, you know, how old it is. But it's a great comic overall. So very happy to have this one, and I'm gonna make this the first one that I list. Now, one of the first things I ever resold when I used to pick at the swap shop in South Florida back in 1999, 2000 were Circus magazines. I could not believe how valuable they were when I purchased a big crate of them, and they're still very popular to this day. So let's check out the Circus magazine in this box. All right, so this is Circus magazine from 1945. There's lots of things that are appealing about it besides the age. So number 1 is that it says Ringling Brothers Barnum and Bailey on it, which doesn't exist anymore. And also you have the showgirl on top and you have the elephant. So 2 things that are very appealing mixed in with one image. You've got the red colors and the blue colors, so you've got some nice bright coloring on here. People love to display this type of stuff. And inside, it's black and white, but there's some really nice imagery inside, including some comic strips and stuff. There is some color ads, which is also something that makes it appealing. Like you have the Coke here with the Sprite figure. So it's just, look at that. You got the old cigarette ad. So all these things are things. Look at that, the Ever Ready. There's all sorts of things like this you would want to put in your listing pictures, including this, which will help make your magazine sell. Now, you're going to come across these when you find vintage magazines, which are going to be these old movie magazines. They'll have different titles on them. Some will say movie, but a lot of them will say something with the word screen in it. So this one here is Screenland. A lot of them are going to have a famous actress on it. This one, as you could see here from the side, says 1950 on it. Now you could see that we have a chunk of this that's taken out, and you're going to see that sometimes on the old magazines. That is going to take some of the value down, but it won't prevent it from selling. I've sold many like this before. The binding is otherwise intact, and you know, you want to highlight all of the different images inside like this, and this is what people are really going to focus on for the purchase. They're not gonna focus so much. When they see all this is going to be a distant memory for most people. All right, well, so far I've shown you a bunch of single specific magazines, but there's a lot of titles there that were available in bulk. So let's take a look at that. All right, so let's start here. As you can see, we have the title Calling All Girls. Now, this was a magazine that was put out for girls and young women by Parent Magazine. Now, it ran from 1941 to 1949. So you can see here, we had the 1946 title. So my assumption based on that comic book that we would have other 1940 stuff proved correct. And I'll pull these out, but you can see there's a whole bunch of them in here. Now, what happened is that later on in 1949, Calling All Girls magazine was renamed Senior Prom. And you could see that right here. See that? Calling All Girls, renamed Senior Prom. So let's take these out and see how many we have. All right, as you can see, we have a total of 22 Calling All Girls magazines. I'll just slowly pan over the covers so you could see a little bit better. This is something that I would likely sell off as a lot. Most of the magazines in the boxes are intact. There are some that have detached covers like that one there, but selling them off in a lot like this helps to make that more palatable for the buyer. So here you can see Mrs. Primetime's handiwork with her flowers that she puts together every year. I know Jessie shops will like that because there's a little flamingo in there and there's a little frog too. And in case you're curious, here's an example of what it looks like inside of the magazine. Lots of illustrations, lots of really cool ads. They just throw you back, into a time that is long, long ago. So it's just so fun to just flip through these. Whenever I get these magazines, Mrs. Primetime and I will just sit down and flip through them, and we just get a kick out of, looking how things were back during this time frame. It's a lot of fun. All right, and we have a total of 8 Senior Prom magazines. I remember looking these up and they comped very well, even for around this amount of them. Now, if you go over here, you'll see inside that this dates back to 1949. So these are from around 1949 to 1950. They started putting the year on the covers. They have a similar type of inside to Calling All Girls. There's stories inside, but look, we even have some of the inserts in there. This would be a great thing to just put up and show around Christmas time. So I hope to get these listed relatively soon. In fact, they may even be listed by the time you watch this video. We'll see. And there you go. Lots of cool pictures, stories, and illustrations. All right, let's keep digging. All right, so the way I am showing you these magazines is exactly how I received them in the box. I did look through them before I did the video, but I put them back exactly how I received them. And I was very happy because everything was very well organized, so that helped save me a lot of time. And I wanted to show you this here because this really excited me. When I saw these mystery magazines on the bottom, I couldn't completely tell what they were. I just couldn't wait to get to it. But before I pull those out, let me show you what was on top of it on this side here. So here we do have some additional single issues. So this one is the American Junior Red Cross magazine that comes from 1948. So a lot of people who are involved in the Red Cross who may be interested in something from that time frame. And look at that cute picture there. And then over here, I always love when I could find things related to popular organizations that are vintage. So this is the War Cry publication that came out through the Salvation Army. And it turns out that we actually have two of them, and these covers are just incredible. I mean, look at this, beautiful. In terms of the age range of them, well, could you guess? Let's take a look inside. There we've got a Christmas story here. We're gonna have to look over here for the date. Look at this, 1939, right there, 1939. That is amazing. By the way, when you're taking pictures of magazines to list, if you're just showing a couple issues, make sure you show the table of contents, because that will help your buyer understand what is inside of there. So I'll just give you a quick flip through of this one. Look at that. That's beautiful religious imagery in there. Vintage items that have religious themes tend to sell very well for me. These would be something I would definitely put together in a lot. So very excited about these two. This one, by the way, if you're wondering about the age of this one dates back to 1940. So that's good, because we have consecutive years, and that will be appealing to a buyer. Then we go here to a 1950 magazine, American Childhood. And over here, we've got a vintage sewing one. How cool is that? Teen Fashions. Then we've got Butterick pattern book. So got a pattern one here. Let's just briefly flip through that one. You could see there, that's cool, all the old sewing patterns in that one. That one dates back to, I'm not sure right now, but probably from the 1940s, 1950s or so. Here it is, hiding right on the cover, 1949. Now below those magazines was another lot of magazines that have an association to the Calling All Girls and Senior Prom magazines. Let me show you what that is. All right, so this may bring back some memories from some of you who are watching this. If so, let me know in the comments section. But the magazine that I'm referring to is Pigtails, also from the 1940s. As you can see here, this one was published in 1947. It's also, as it says here, a magazine for girls. It was put out by Parents Magazine. And there's a nice little stack of it. I'll show you how many of them we have. All right, so we have a total of 6 Pigtails magazines from around 1947 and 1948. I'll just flip through one of these for you so you can get a sense of what it looks like inside. Now, just keep in mind that the size of this is about the size of a traditional comic book, and consistent with that, when you look inside, the paper quality is that of a traditional comic book. They use that newspapery type of paper stock, as opposed to the more silky kind of traditional magazine type of paper. And the reason why they did that is because, as you can see here, they are printing comic book strips in here, so color strips as well. So that's a nice plus. And you can see they still retained some really nice color. Now, in addition to the comic strips, there also are, articles, and there's some regular, photographs that are included in here as well. So I know I saw some of that towards the beginning. So you can take a look over here, for example. They also include that. All right, what other type of stuff did a young girl from the 1940s and 1950s collect? Let's take a look. All right, you guessed it, Miss America magazine. I don't know, did you guess it? Let me know in the comments. This is another type of magazine for teenagers, particularly teenage girls. You can see here we have a romance theme. These come from the 1940s. It was published by the Miss America Publishing Corporation. And this entire stack is these Miss Americas. So let me lay them out for you, and then we're gonna get to see what's hiding underneath there. All right, so we have a total of 14 Miss America magazines, also done in that comic book type of style. And there's a very important reason for that you need to know if you ever come across these and try to list them. That is because a lot of these magazines featured comic strips in them with Patsy Walker. Sorry, I had to pause due to a dog barking next door, but Patsy Walker is very famous from Marvel comic books because she eventually transitioned into the character Hellcat. So if you go through these, you will see old comic strips with Patsy Walker in it. And that is going to be a big selling point to a lot of buyers who otherwise, you know, might not be interested in this for the other type of content that's in it, like this. So it is one of these things that helps to serve multiple audiences. All right, well, this is what was underneath, and I'm gonna pull all these out because they're all from the same title. It is a magazine from the 1950s called The Cornell Widow. Now, if you're not familiar with Cornell University, it's an Ivy League school here in central New York. It's in Ithaca, and it's about an hour and 15 minutes away from me. And I could tell you from having come across and sold other types of Cornell items, especially vintage ones in the past, that there is a really strong, passionate alumni there that is looking for items like this. And these are ones that I may just sell individually because each issue is just so different and has so many different types of selling points inside. Like right here, for example, Ray Anthony is famous, and he came there once to do a performance. And so that's something that I could specifically advertise about this one particular issue. But, you know, as you go through and you flip through it, you just find that it's a, you know, it's a magazine that was put out through the students at Cornell, and, you know, just basically an opportunity for them to write about different topics of interest. Back in the day, they published some of their own stories and stuff, advertised things that were going on the campus, took advertisements as well. So sometimes people like to flip through that. But there's a whole bunch of them here. So we have a total of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and I love this one, 10. Let me just go back to this one for a second. I love the art on this one. Here's another example of why I would want to try to sell this one individually, because I think someone would just buy this for the cover. I mean, look how cool this art is. It's just amazing. All right, a couple other things I want to tell you about vintage magazines is to make sure you flip over to the back cover, because there might be something on there that you want to highlight to your buyer. For example, this old advertisement for Camel cigarettes. Also, look for other selling points on it. So you could see here, this one says number 12, the squirrel. And if you turn over this one here, you're going to see number 13, the mountain goat. So people might be after that as a collectible as well. The other thing to keep in mind is that you should look inside of the magazines. As I showed you with the yearbook from the Frank Sinatra video, you never know what you're going to find inside. And right inside of here is an old Cornell Deadly Sin newspaper in mint condition from April 21st, 1954. That is incredible, and that is a really nice selling point. You could try to sell something like this individually, or you could just include it as part of the deal with one of these magazines here to increase the value. All right, now the last magazine in this box, way at the bottom, is this old McCall's magazine from 1966. It's a Christmas themed one. This one will sell just by itself. There's so many just cool ads in here, and lots of winter and Christmas themed articles. There's religious articles. There's just lots of cool ads. And it's a nice oversized magazine. Like, people will just spend lots of time just looking through this, for example. Remember these ads from back in the day? I remember always looking through those. So really cool. Then over here we have a 1954 Coronet Digest. And then there's two Good Housekeeping magazines, and these are nice and thick ones. This is from 1949. Then we have 1952. All right, so with this last box, there are 3 main titles left to look through, all of which is available in bulk. So let's take them one at a time. All right, so let's start with this one. This is a smaller magazine. It's called Wee Wisdom. You can see that better over here. Lots of great classic images on top, lots of good illustrations. This one is for boys and girls, so that's good because it will appeal to both genders. So I'll show you how many of these we have. All right, so here you can see we have a total of 16 Wee Wisdom magazines, and they range from 1945 to 1948. The covers are just incredible to look at. A lot of people like to display covers that look like this. I'd say my favorite one is probably this Santa Claus one, but let me know in the comments which one is your favorite, or maybe which magazine series here that I showed you is your favorite, or maybe one that you have a nostalgic interest in as well. All right, now below the Wee Wisdom magazines are all of these Jack and Jill magazines, which is an educational series. These specific ones mostly come from the 1940s. This is a very popular magazine, has a very strong following. It's actually still made to this day. So let me take them out and show you how many we have. All right, here you can see it's a grand total of 34 Jack and Jill magazines. I'll pan over the covers so you could just get a close-up of it and get a better sense of the imagery on these. They're really nice. They have puzzles inside, mostly a lot of stories and stuff. So it's really a magazine that's designed to foster reading for kids. So we'll just take this one here, for example, and do a little flip through for you. So here you could see, lots of cool stories, color, lots of pictures and stuff, which is very important to try to stimulate reading for kids. Helped me a lot when I was younger, reading comic books, believe it or not. Lots of really good vocabulary in comic books. It's not just all pow and bop and that kind of stuff. So read to them as early as you can if you have little kids. All right, and the last title on this side is All American Girl magazines. Not American Girl doll, American Girl. Most of them come from the 1940s. It's such a great decade to get stuff from because there's just not that much of that stuff that's still around. So let's pull these out and see how many of them we have. I mean, wow, just wow, look at this. This is vintage goodness right here. A total of 56. Mostly 1940s. I saw a few from 1950, all from this American Girl magazine title. And this was actually put out by the Girl Scouts. You could see that represented here in this cover, for example, or in this one. In fact, some of them actually say it on there, but not all of them do. So let's just flip through one of them just to give you a little sense of what's inside. So there is some color in there, but there's lots of black and white articles, pictures of Girl Scouts. I have to decide what I want to do with this, if I want to try to piece these out individually or if I want to do a bulk lot. I'm not sure. I will figure that out shortly. You'll see in my eBay store what I decide to do. So look at that. Honorary President Franklin Delano Roosevelt right there. That's just amazing. Wow. And this might be a girl magazine, but you could see here all the subtlety involved that there had to be a guy involved designing some of these covers. Jeez. Can you imagine if it just started raining right now? That would be horrible. All right, everyone, I hope you enjoyed checking that stuff out as much as I did. Before you go, make sure you also check out T from Auctions For You. She has a great YouTube channel. I'm gonna put links to her in the description section and in the comments section. You could go over to her channel and get lots of great stuff on auction, either for yourself or to resell. I recently resold something that I got from her, and I have some of the stuff in my store right now. So that's a personal testimonial. I also want to thank T for being the first member of the channel to upgrade to the new Primetime Plus level of membership. Check it out by hitting the join button. That's going to allow you to post to the Deal of the Day feature in my Facebook group, the Facebook Reselling Resource Center, which has almost 28,000 members in it. So at minimum, it's going to get your store exposure, activity, extra clicks, and if you just make one sale, that's going to more than pay for the membership. So check it out. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. I'll see you at the next one, everyone. Take care.